name is Ed Schuyler Jr. I was born in March 14, 1935. I grew up in a town called Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, a town of about 10,000 people. My father was the editor of the local newspaper and the best newspaper man I ever knew. And when I graduated from high school, I went to college for a year. Didn't do well. Then went into the Army for 2 years. And then came back and worked in a mill for a year. And then I went back to school and graduated and joined the Associated Press, where I worked for 41 years. I was always interested in sports, but I was never athletic inclined. I was not good enough to participate in high school sports, but I was a big fan of sports. And when I joined the Associated Press in Pittsburgh, I covered all kinds of things, including sports. And then when I transferred to New York Sports Department, that's what I covered sports for the next 36 years, mostly boxing and horse racing, but other sports too. My interest in sports is what got me into sports. Well, I can't remember that far back, but I think the first thing I covered in Pittsburgh was some Pittsburgh Pirates game and some college football. And when I left, then I left Pittsburgh in '65 to go to New York, and then I was a full-time sports writer. And I covered various things, but I got into boxing by helping the boxing writers by writing sidebars and by writing the PM's follow-ups. And then when the boxing writer left to go to join the NFL, I believe, I became the national boxing writer for the Associated Press. And for horse racing, I helped cover my first Kentucky Derby in 1967, and I covered all the derbies until 2001, except 1 year I missed the Derby because I was covering a fight. The first fight I helped cover was in Pittsburgh in the early 60s. I can't give you the exact year, 62, 63, in which Emo Griffith, a welterweight champion, fought a non-title fight against Reuben Hurricane Carter, a middleweight contender. And it was at the Pittsburgh Civic Arena, and Carter said, "No welterweight can beat me." That's what he said before the fight, and then he knocked Griffith out in the first round. And then I covered another fight in Pittsburgh. I can't recall who it was. And then all the rest of the boxing was after I moved to New York. The highlights, I guess, would be Muhammad Ali's upset of George Foreman in Africa. Joe Frazier beating Ali in 1970 in the Madison Square Garden when Ali came back from his banishment from boxing because of his political views. And the Thriller in Manila between Frazier and Ali. And Sugar Ray Leonard's fight against Thomas Hearns, their first fight, which was a real war. And of course there's Secretariat's Belmont Stakes, the most incredible performance I've ever seen by an athlete, no matter how many legs they had.